Jeg vil fange så velkommen tilbage til en episode af Vampyr. Jeg tror måske, jeg har fikset det her.
Between my sister and I. It does not concern God at all.
Okay. Jeg ved ikke helt, om jeg har fikset det 100%, men jeg håber på det.
Good evening, Doctor. Goodbye, Mr.
Fordi der var nogle problemer med, at den gik ned i FPS tidligere, og nu har jeg prøvet på at gøre nogle ting for at hjælpe lidt på det. Og så fandt jeg ud af, at den stadig havde kørt tilbage, på trods af at den faktisk var hurtig start.
Good evening, Mr.
Så har den kørt tilbage igen. Det gør den hver gang jeg åbner op til synligheden tilbage til...
So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
Hvad hedder den nu? Den er begyndt at gå tilbage til... og køre på alle korsene igen, hvilket den ikke skal.
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
That woman is as depraved as Jezebel, and she deserves the same fate.
Really? Why is that?
This woman runs no medical facility, but a temple to the false prophets of science and debauchery. And she has many accomplices, I heard.
Tobias Whitaker, confess why you burnt those people alive.
I have done what no one was ready to do. I will smite the flesh of the unclean to protect the righteous.
You are just another heartless murderer, exploiting the epidemic to kill with impunity.
No! No. The only way to contain the spread is to strike at the source itself. The proliferating sick.
You're not the savior of London. You're just a glorified sadist.
I take no pleasure in this awful cleansing, Dr. Reed. I am only driven by the thousands of innocents I save each night.
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias? What did you see there?
I sent him on a vision. A dream of a dreadful and laughing queen covered with blood, sleeping with the dead and feeding on the fear of the dying.
A laughing queen dressed in blood. Tell me more.
This epidemic is her feast, the announcement of her return. Against her, science is no more than a child's toy.
But who is she?
She is the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. She is Babylon, drunk on the blood of the saints.
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Men har folk det, de er stadig i gang med at blive lavet. Alle undtagen ham derovre. Bare den her quest her, hvor jeg godt vil have tracket.
Even now, he judges your words and actions.
Okay, det er så ikke den rigtige vej at gå.
For there is no protection.
her forresten. Vi er også stærkere. Come on. Leave me alone. Oh, Gud fader. Beast incoming. Jeg tror ikke, går med skade, men okay. Så det var træer. Så lad os da bare begynde at slagte ham lidt. Oh. Sorry, dude. Det var dig eller mig. Her valgte jeg altså lige mig. Larger beast. Så der er et mere derudaf. Ja. Det er nok deroppe.
This could be the box Lewis thought he lost. There's a letter inside. A love letter from Joe Peterson's wife, addressed to Barrett Lewis. Who should I give it to, I wonder?
Wow. Say hello. I'm right here. Wow, okay, du ændrede faktisk at få mig nokket mig ned. Og angreb mig 2 gange til. Det er jo imponerende. Nu skal jeg lige samle mig lidt her igen først. Jeg beklager lige lidt, men jeg skal lige låne lidt. Wow. Ja, sorry, din kammerat han ødelagde det lige lidt for os her, så jeg er lige nødt til at låne lidt af det, der var hans forlod. Sådan der, tak for det. Nu var du lige spoleret partyen før, jo godt, så er jeg svært nødt til at sige, at du ikke er inviteret. Ja. Jeg kan godt hente den smule XP, der ligger herude, jo. Ja. Tak for det. Og så er det store spørgsmål, hvordan får vi fat i det XP? Vi ved, der står en derude. Jeg ved bare ikke, hvordan... Nå, det er... Halløj! Whoops! Jeg tror du egentlig, at du er, var. Åbenbart en, der kræver mere end 2 slag. Det fandt jeg lige ud af der. Lad os se en gang. Aflever. Beklager, men wow, 5 XP. Really? 5 freaking XP for at gøre det der. For at dræbe det der beast der. Det var næsten ikke engang det værd jo. Så får man 5 for at dræbe det andet, der ikke er lige så stort. Det synes jeg ikke var helt fair. 10 havde jeg, så hvis jeg så havde mindst havde fået 10, fordi så får jeg 5 for de andre der, ikke? Så havde jeg måske kunne se ideen i det, men 5 for både de store og de små. Den er sådan lidt. Altså lidt sværere at slutte, vil jeg sige. Det er nok nemmere at gå igennem her.
Joe, please, I don't have your money.
Come on, Barrett, you know the game. You pay for peace of mind.
Can't you just look?
You again? What do you want this time?
I think the documents in this box could be of some interest to you.
Really? Where'd you get it?
I found it in an abandoned building nearby. I thought you might want to keep these letters.
Let me see. Letters about my boy. Thank you, sir.
You do not appear surprised or pained by this.
Surprised about what? Harry's my son, I'm his father, and that's all there is to know, don't you think?
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Here's a little something for your trouble. And to remind you to keep your mouth shut about all this.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Fancy buying some?
You never... Barrett, you had an affair with Joe's wife, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. She's the only woman I loved. My first regret is that she stayed with Joe after Harry was born. The second is I never shed a tear when she died.
Did you ever try talking to Joe?
Never. But I suspected he knew everything, even without knowing it. And he decided to make me pay in his own way.
Do you mean you're Harry's father?
No one will ever know for sure. And it's better that way. And I don't believe I'd have been all that bad as a dad.
Joe Pete.
I know.
What meaning?
Goodbye for...
I know it's hard.
You again?
But this district...
Bare se om der er noget her. Kom bare ind.
Goodbye.
Og det var hende. Det var faktisk...
Good evening, my dear colleague.
Goodbye, Miss Swanborough. Perhaps we'll talk...
Hvor fint var det så, jeg mødte hende der Camilla der, eller Camilla, eller hvad fanden hun hed.
How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy, all right? Now piss off.
Goodbye.
Jeg mente ham der, han hed Harry, men okay. Det er ikke godt, det der. Hvem? Hvad skete der lige der? nederen, ikke mere. Sikkert. Er hun bare stadig i combat. Virk. Sorry, dude, men du dør. Jo mere udstyr til at reparere og opgradere mit våben for, det er jo bedre at reparere. Fight away. Get down, bitch. Det er en dårlig hop. Hvor dårligt min side af der. Oh my god. Og så kommer der også lige Beast Space, det er selvfølgelig. Wow. Det. 3. Stå stille. Bag. Ja, ned. Sidste han kraftede. Lige bruge lidt tid på at få den charge op igen. Tak for det. Jeg tror lidt te der også lige hjælper. Tak, sådan der. Virkelig. Wow. Selvfølgelig kunne han lige præcis skyde det øjeblik, hvor det er mit skjold, det stopper. Virkelig, endnu en af det der fucking mænd der, mand. Hvad er det der? Come on! Du er ikke død endnu. Så sørger vi lige for, at du står stille et øjeblik. Jeg glemte lige, hvad det var helt præcis for et våben, jeg havde. Her.
Remorse and pain are precious when binding you to the earth. You. I remember you. Fear be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me. Made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
Riddles and rhymes. You took my life. Now you insult my mind.
Be stilled, my child. I bring understanding.
What is it you seek?
This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged.
This has something to do with the epidemic.
Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur. I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave.
Understand that.
So the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one.
Super. Og den der som toeren var 80, så vi vil faktisk få mere damage ved at bruge den her. Attack speeden er langsommere. Så det vil være et problem. I hvert fald for mig, tænker jeg. Vi kan sørge meget blod, og vi kan sørge for, at den giver mere damage. Jeg tænker, for mere damage vil nok være en rigtig god ting at starte op med. Så har vi vores våben herovre, hvis vi ikke rigtig kan gøre en skid ved lige nu. Og så har vi vores pistol. Det kan heller ikke gøre noget ved. Ja, før vi så overhovedet snakker med nogen, så går vi lige herover gang refiller. Så tager vi lige og bruger alt vores XP, fordi vi kan godt komme op i nogle specielle kampe. Ja, det er, jeg skal bruge XP'en på det der. Kan vi heller ikke gøre. 1800. Wow. Ja, jeg tænker, vi skal have lidt mere damage på bidet. Og så op i level 14. Hey, healthy. Fordi vi har gjort det op til et healthy, så er der kommet en immersion her. Han er cold, og hun er cold også, okay. Det har fået dem fra serious op til stable, og har også gjort immersion herover. Det har det samme, fordi han har ikke fået det værre. Okay. Investigation update. Ah! Okay, så man skulle gøre det senere hen. Fair nok.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned.
Jeg kan ikke bevæge mig. Ved du hvad foran selv gør noget?
By the sacred stone, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Jonathan, please. I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Do you really believe they would come for us here? In such a public venue?
McCallum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this. If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCallum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I understand your need for blood and will not get in your way. But if you could refrain from feeding within these walls, it would go a long way to defending your case.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the guard of Prewin come to hear of this?
McCallum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
Thank you, Edgar.
Hvor bliver den ved? Oh my god.
Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Holy moly.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Milton cheats patients out of their money at this hospital, Pippa. Are you his accomplice?
Yes, I am.
Is this your definition of being useful? By abusing the sick and poor?
No. It is my definition of getting out of this useless life once and for all.
Why do you do it?
Why not? Most of the sick who paid for a bed are already dead, or will be soon. Don't you see the futility of all this?
You put a price on hope. This goes against everything you swore to uphold as a nurse.
Report me then, Dr. Reed. Report the little nurse and keep on lying about the surgical errors, the wrong dosages and diagnostics that we all covered for the sake of our colleagues.
Whose idea was it?
What difference does it make? We did it together, and I'm guilty as charged.
Answer my question.
It was my idea first, even though Milton would say it was his, to protect me.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Everybody's afraid. Death has always been a frequent visitor. But murder? How can we cope with that?
As a nurse at this hospital, it is your duty to deal with these things as best you can.
Yeah. Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reed. I've seen what that monster did to the woman.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm afraid I've contracted some illness, Dr. Reed.
Not under my watch, nurse. Take this. You'll feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Jeg kunne se, havde jeg faktisk kun en af dem der, så...
I wish I could be sick again. Feel my blood boil.
What on earth happened here?
Spændende. Pusher.
Damn it! Why is this so difficult every time?
That is better. That is better. I will make it through one more night.
Ja. Det ved jeg, hvad han tog. Sandsynligvis nok noget beroligende.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good?
I know you're taking drugs, Corcoran. Why take such a risk?
I need it to endure the long shifts. We have no idea how long the epidemic will last. We can't let it win.
For God's sake, what are you thinking? How can you be so irresponsible?
Irresponsible? I am devoted to my work. I am doing this for all the patients who need our help. I cannot abandon them.
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a tragedy, pure and simple. The hospital is meant to be a safe haven to all. We failed the people who trusted us with their care.
Do you think I should not have brought Mr. Hampton back here?
It's not your fault. You rescued that poor soul. It was the Christian thing to do. But we should have noticed his instability.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Oh my god.
Oh, Jonathan. I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman. Butchered by some savage scowl.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the scowl, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
Okie.
Have you embraced this woman, like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Okay.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols, or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
Der er rigtig meget blod der. Lad os se en gang. Treatment for cold. Vi skal bruge nogle flere. Og nu hvis jeg er her.
Good evening, Milk.
Good evening.
Er der noget andet her, jeg skal kigge på? Nej.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Doctor.
Den der. Jeg tror ikke, jeg skal bruge resten. Det er noget. Okay. Så lad os lige prøve at gå op en gang. Det kunne ikke være helt umuligt for os at lave en ny dosis. Og forhåbentlig måske, jeg ved ikke, gør et eller andet med vores våben også. Jeg ved det ikke, om det kan det så gøre endnu. Sådan der. Lad os se engang, lad os starte med det her. Kan vi gøre et eller andet her? Nej. Okay. Hvad med dig? Heller ikke. Nej, heller ikke endnu. Ja, det er vist det, jeg bruger det, ikke? Jo. Jeg bruger den der til offhands. Så bruger jeg kun den der over til det PT. Så problemet er lidt, at OBS giver mig rigtig store problemer lige PT, synes jeg godt nok. Jeg ved ikke lige helt hvorfor. Men jeg er helt nede på 20 fps lige nu, kan jeg så sige. Jeg tænker, at det vi gør her som noget af det sidste, det er at gå ned og kurere ham deres forkølelse, og så stopper vi derefter, fordi det ender med, altså OBS går mellem til 20 og 30, og den står ikke engang op på 30 længere. Og den var med at stå på 29 og gå nedad. Hvilket ikke er gode tegn, og nu går vi endda længere ned.
Hello again, Mr. Blight.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. You doing your rounds as usual?
Do you need medical attention, sir?
Afraid so. In the war, I was always worried about picking up something, getting some infection. Unfortunately, got that fear in London now.
Throughout history, some diseases have done more damage to armies than any weapon created by man. You are wise to be careful.
You're working at the Pembroke Hospital, aren't you? That's a good enough reason for me and Oswald to go there.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself.
Mens den samtale der fandt sted, der har OBS stået på omkring 13 til 14 fps, og selv når jeg er herinde også, så går den ikke højere op end 15. Så jeg kigger lige videoen igennem efterfølgende, og så finder jeg lige ud af, hvordan vi er. I hvert fald vil jeg sige tusind tak, fordi I så med. Håber I hygger jer til vi ses igen i næste episode, folkens. Hej.